Ba Pandavayasya Rajarishaya Munina Saha Sambada Samabhut Tata Yatraisha Sadvaiti Shruti Katamba Pandaveshasya Rajarishya Munina Saha Sambada Sambhuta Tata Yatresha Satvati Shruti Katampa Pandaveyasya Rajarishya Muninasaha Sambada Samabhuta Tata Yatresha Sabati Shruti Katampa Pandavayasya Rajarishi Muninasa Sambada Sambhuta Tata Yatraisha Satpati Shruti Katampa Pandavayasya Rajashe Muninasa Sambada Samabhutata Yatraisa Satpati Shruti Kadamba Rajarishi Muninandana Bhutana Prabhu Anam Katamba Pandaveyasya Rajarishi Munisa Sambada Samabhuta Yatresha Satpati Shruti Katampa Pandaveyasya Rajarishi Munisa Sambada Samabhutata Yatraisha Sapati Shruti Katampa Pandaveyasya Rajavishya Muninasaha Sambada Sambhutam Yatraisha Sapati Shruti Katamba Pandaveyasya Rajarishi Muniyasya Tasampadam Jatya Yatre Sarvati Shruti Katam. How is it? Ba. Also. Pandavayasya, the descendants of Pandu, Parikshit, Rajarishe, of the king who was a sage, Munina, with the Muni, Shaha, with, Sambadaha, discussion, Samabhut, took place, Tata, O darling, yatra, whereupon, Esha, like this, Sarvati, transcendental, Shruti, essence of the Vedas. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace by Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. How did it so happen that King Parikshit met this great sage, making it possible for the great transcendental essence of the Vedas, the Bhagavatam, to be sung to him? Please repeat. How did it so happen that King Parikshit met this great sage, making it possible for this great transcendental essence of the Vedas, Bhagavatam, to be sung to him? Purport. A very short purport. Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated here, as the essence of the Vedas. It is not an imaginary story, as is sometimes considered by unauthorized men. It is also called Shukha Samhita, or the Vedic hymn spoken by Shukadeva Goswami, the great liberated sage. Yes. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So here they're considering the essence of the Vedas. Veda means knowledge. The essence of the Vedas is the Vedanta Sutra, which is a commentary, and the Srimad Bhagavatam is a commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. So therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam is considered the essence of the Vedas. And so Krishna says a couple of times in Bhagavad Gita that, especially 15th chapter, that I am the knower of the Vedas, because I am the compiler of the Vedas. In the form of Veda Vyas, Krishna has compiled the Vedas. So I am the knower of the Vedas, I am the speaker of the Vedas, I am the compiler of the Vedas. And because I know the Vedas, or the essence of the Vedas, I'll tell you, Arjuna, I'll tell you what is that essence. And then he describes Shara, Akshara. There are two types of Brahman. There's a liberated soul, Atma, and there's the conditioned Atma. And beyond these two, there is the Paramatma. Then beyond that, it's the greatest, that's Purushottam. This is the greatest of all. So Krishna is explaining himself. He's the speaker, he's the knower. And now I'm going to give to you, Arjuna, because I know it. Only people who know it, they can give. So therefore, Krishna is telling Arjuna that ultimately it is, I am that Supreme Personality of Godhead. Whom the Vedas are singing about. And anybody who knows this without doubting, he attains love for me, and definitely he goes back to Godhead. So, it's just the essence of knowledge. But how lacking is this knowledge in this world? How many people really understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? But Krishna tells very clearly and frankly, it is me, isn't it? There is no one equal to, no one greater than Ashtamadharya. So, the search is over. We are looking for the ultimate truth. Everybody's searching for the truth. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Mataha nanyat parat nanyat kinchidasti jananjaya. There are many truths in this material world, but the absolute truth, Krishna says, I am the absolute truth. So Krishna himself is declaring that, I am the absolute truth, O Dhananjaya. There is no truth superior to me. So we're searching for truth, everybody. That is a philosophical way of life. We're searching for the truth, searching. But when you come to Krishna is saying that there is no truth superior to me. Many truths we have in this world. But when Krishna is saying there is no truth superior to me, there is no truth superior to me. That means the absolute truth. So Krishna is saying quite frankly in that chapter that, yes, I am the absolute truth. There is no truth superior to me. So end of search, end of knowledge, that's it. So the Srimad Bhagavatam is simply an expansion of the essence of the truth, because it's nothing but glorification of Krishna, service to Krishna, different relationships with Krishna. That's all the Bhagavatam is comprising of, helping one to establish his relationship with Krishna through the medium of service, bhakti, devotional service. So we don't have to research, we don't have to argue anymore. Krishna's appeared here and showing that he's backing up what he's saying. What is the term? Walk the talk, the talk the walk, or something. He's backing up what he's saying, because many people are saying, I am Bhagavan, he is Bhagavan. Prabhupada said every street corner in India there is a Bhagavan. Or in every village they have a Bhagavan. But not that kind of Bhagavan, Prabhupada says. So Krishna says, I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the essence of all the scriptures, Ishvaraha Parama Krishna, Satchitananda Vigraha, Nare Rare Govinda, Sarva Karana Karanam, cause of all causes, the source of everything. But he himself has no source. He is unlimited. So then Krishna says, look, I'm telling you, this is the absolute truth. You still can't accept. Thank you. So I'll make it easier for you to understand that I am the absolute truth. I'll come myself, and then I will show my beautiful Tribangi, Krishna's Bamsi, his yellow dhoti, his Kushtabamani, his curling black hair, garlands, bumblebees flying around, standing in his Tribangi, threefold, bends in three ways: his head, his hip, and his chest. So it's curved like that in three ways: 1, 2, 3. And Prabhupada said this curve here of the hip curve, that is the most attractive. I think this is the most attractive part of Krishna. I guess it's, at least in the conjugal relationship, that the hip is considered. But generally the Supreme Lord Narayana, the God of gods, everybody knows it, the incarnation of Krishna. But generally he doesn't have that Tribangi. When you see Lord Narayana, he's with Lakshmi or something giving blessing, but he doesn't have that Bangi. He doesn't have that threefold bending with his foot. Krishna is so merciful, much merciful, more merciful than Lord Narayan, because all those forms of Lord Narayan, generally he's got his feet on the ground, right? Generally his feet are sitting. And but Krishna, he's got one foot like this. He's crossed his foot. It's very, very merciful, because when the wind comes, he can take the dust of his foot. His foot is there, so underneath, so the wind can come and take that dust. We can get that dust. But Lord Narayan, his feet are on the ground. It's difficult to get the dust underneath his feet. So this pose of Krishna is, what do you say, is universally accepted as the supreme form of Godhead. So Krishna comes and shows, here I am, here are my wonderful activities. Do you have any doubt? Here's a mountain, I'll pick it up on my little finger. All these activities, these are my pastimes with my mother, my friends. We like stealing butter. These are the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But they can never understand unless you enter into a relationship with Krishna. Then you can understand Krishna. Or Krishna can reveal himself when you entered into a relationship with Krishna in your heart. Otherwise, he's always a mystery for the logicians and those who try to understand Krishna by their mundane tint of knowledge. They always stay on that platform of knowledge. But the devotees have a pastime going on in their heart with the Lord, relationships going on in the heart. So they look like devotees, and the other scholars, they're reading the same things, they're studying the same things, but they don't understand what's happening in the devotee's heart. The scholars don't have that relationship. They just have the book and the external mantras, and they will study the text and think that's it. No, but the essence is they're in the relationship with Krishna in their heart. So the devotees can know everything about Krishna because he will reveal. But for the jnanis and everything, they just see what's written and they try to comment on it, but there's no loving relationship, there's no sweetness there. So Krishna is showing how I am God. Even his eyes are just coming open, he kills a big demoness, Putana, a Rakshasa, huge demon. And Krishna's a few months old, his eyes are not properly, just coming open. So, if you still don't believe, then Krishna says, okay, I'll show you. Here is my pastimes. Then Krishna, he says, so I'll get married, because everybody gets married. But then Krishna married 16,108 queens. So, you still don't believe, Arjuna? Okay, show the Vishwarup. Arjuna is requesting, can I see Vishwarup? Okay, here it is. Have a look. This is the Vishwarup. Nobody's ever seen this before, Krishna says. Nobody's seen this mystical form. Well, what does it take to understand this form of God? You've got to be at least a demigod, because the demigods worship the Vishwarup. So, Prabhupada said this is the standard. This is the standard. If you're claiming to be God, then you show Vishwarup, and we may accept. So Krishna is not only saying I am God, he is proving it. He's coming and he's showing us these wonderful pastimes. He shows his form, activities, pastimes, paraphernalia, his entourage. And Krishna is just absorbed in the blissful pastimes with different relationships throughout the day. He has time for the boys when they go out in the forest after breakfast, playing like anything. Running, jumping, whatever boys may do, playing games. Vatsalaras. Then he goes to Radha Kunda and meets the gopis. So then he has a loving exchange there with Madhurya. So Krishna is tasting these different relations. Then they have to go back home because it's going to get dark soon, take the calves and cows home. And then Mother Jasoda and the elderly cowherd men, and they'll get a chance to see Krishna and serve Krishna. And Krishna's experiencing that Vatsala Ras. So this is what Krishna does whole day. He just experiences. He moves from one period of time to another, just relishing the different rasas in those different situations. Yes, his business. This is God's business. So many pastimes we have seen just lately. Radha Kund, Govardhan Puja, Annakut. Oh, that's coming in a couple of days. Oh yeah, that was a few days ago. So yeah. Krishna showing his wonderful pastimes. Mother Yasoda is trying to bind Krishna with a rope. And everyone is laughing. All the elderly gopis and everybody's rushing to see this. Something strange is happening, and Mother Jasoda is trying to tie Krishna. She can't tie him. So all the neighbor, and they're all laughing like anything. Look, strange happening. How is it possible? But they just had to laugh and laugh and see how Mother Jasoda, she was trying to bind Krishna. So these are all different. Vatsala Ras, loving friendship, parental love, as parent and mother, father, and elderly gopis. And the Mother Jasoda tried to bind Krishna because he had been naughty. So she was chasing him to catch him, and she had a stick in her hand. She would never beat Krishna, of course, but to show Krishna, to scare him a little bit, she just showed the stick, but she would never hit Krishna with the stick. But part of the pastime, because when she called it Krishna, and when she showed that stick, Krishna was shaking, fearful. His pearl necklace, he always wears a pearl necklace, and he was shivering out of fear. And this was going ching, 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 ching. This is how scared Krishna was of his mother. Big talker of Bhagavad Gita, but now look at him. He's tied up by his mother, is scared out of his life. A big Kshatriya. So Krishna told him, his mother, next time you try to catch me, I'll climb up a tree, then you can't catch me. So Jasoda says, why you want to climb a tree? Are you a monkey, Krishna? He said, I'm not monkey, your father is a monkey. So Jasoda's thinking, boy, he's so restless, anything could happen. Because it's a village, and the big bulls are walking around, they cannot see very well. the little kids, the baby boys. And so the big bulls are there. Sometimes they may hit them with their foot or something. So Jashoda is always conscious. Where is Krishna right now? What's he doing? Right? She's always conscious of Krishna, that for his, especially for his safety when his mother's doing her chores, doing her work, and Krishna is just moving around. But she's always conscious, because sometimes also the eagles come and they take small children. So she has to be conscious of this. And sometimes there's tigers are coming, mug. And they take the babies. We have here wild cats also, Bonbiral, forest cat, it's a big cat, almost like as big as a dog. You can see them here sometimes, but they like quiet. But there was one devotee, Takodas, he lived at Hulagat, and they left the baby inside the house. The baby was sleeping, and the mother was doing her work. And then one Bonbiral, big tiger, they call them mug. It's not actually a tiger, but they say it's like a tiger. And that tiger came into the room because there was no one there, and the baby was lying in there. And it picked up the baby and then taking the baby outside. But then Thakurdas came at exactly that moment. Krishna must have warned him. And he saw the cat with the baby in his mouth. He dived on the baby to save him. And the cat started to scratch him and immediately ran away. But he could have, a few seconds later, that cat could have taken away the baby. So Mother Yasoda is always conscious of babies. And so Krishna, Mother Yasoda, she decided to bind Krishna because he was so restless. Because he's threatened to climb up a tree next time it happens, so he may fall down, anything can happen. He was a very restless mood. And he was crying, just so that he could do anything, so I'd tie him up, then he won't be able to go anywhere. So then she began to tie him up, and then there's this astonishing pastime of when Mother Yasoda found Krishna. That was the day of Diwali, when we light all the lamps. So this pastime of Krishna's being bound it fell on that day. And there's a very beautiful description of how Yasoda, she was churning the butter, and her hair became loose, and the flowers were falling, and her decorations, and her cloth. Naturally, she was laboring hard, she was sweating. And and she was wearing a saffron dress that day, it mentions in Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada says, he said, seeing this sight of Yasoda, full of Vatsala Rash, churning butter and looking after Krishna, baby Krishna. Prabhupada said, those who are attracted to Krishna in Vatsala Rasa, this is a super excellent meditation here of how Mother Yasoda is serving Krishna. And so Krishna is revealing all these wonderful pastimes. Govardhan Hill, put the mountain on his finger for 7 days. So during the Annakoot ceremony, the Annakut ceremony. When Krishna, he assumed the form of Govardhan hill, and then he started to eat all of the foodstuffs that were being bought. So he was eating everything. It's a big form, mountain form, and so Krishna, he was eating everything, but he was still hungry. He wanted more, so he was calling, more, bring me more, Anyor. That place there is called Anyor, the village there, where this pastime took place. Anyor, bring more. They were bringing more food, and Krishna would extend his hands, and sometimes many hands he would extend, start eating all the food. And then the news was getting round. There's a wonderful happening with Krishna at Aniyo, and he wants Krishna's assumed the form, and he wants some more food. He wants food. Aniyo. So then the news got around. All the different villages, local villages, they were coming, and they would, let's go and see this wonderful phenomenon that Krishna has become a mountain, and he's asking more. And so they would bring the food. They would, in their house, they would bring all the food stuff they had, and they would on a bullock cart, something, and they would go to Aniyor, and then they would bring their foodstuffs, and immediately Krishna would manifest some hands and go start eating all that foodstuffs. And the devotees were saying, that was astonishing. We heard that Krishna is calling from Mayapur, but we just heard it. But now we are seeing this is really astonishing. He's actually has arms and hands, and he's reaching down and he's eating all the prasadam. It's astonishing. And he's saying he wants more, and we actually have some more. We didn't take everything from the larder, from our go down. We still had, now we're realizing we should have bought everything, but we didn't. We left some in. They were just thinking like this, and even their thinking like that. Then Krishna, he understood. So we went to their village, put it one hand or two hands, went down to the village, went inside the cupboard, took all the prasadam and brought it all back. So he is eating it. Even they were only thinking that we have some. Had more food at home, we could have bought everything. So Krishna took advantage of their magnanimous thoughts, and he ate everything, wherever it went. Or he grabbed it wherever it was, even from a different village. So why did Krishna invite the Shambhataka cloud? That's the devastation, the cloud of devastation. During the devastation, Indra calls with his cloud, Shambhataka, big chief of all the clouds, and full of rain and thunder and lightning, ferocious. So why Krishna sanctioned that? He didn't have to come, but Krishna sanctioned it. That you send Sambhataka and inundate Vrindavan with water. He said, because during the Annakut, I was eating everything and I was very thirsty. I was going to all the kunds. I dried up all the kunds I took from Manasaganga and all these different kundas out there. Krishna drank all the water because he was eating so much food. He was very thirsty. So therefore he had drunk all the kundas dry. So therefore he influenced Indra to send the Samavata cloud. So then the cloud filled up all the kundas again. So they're all full of water. So yeah, these are the uncommon pastimes of Krishna. And the Damodar Leela, because Mother Jasoda had bought all the robes to tie Krishna. There's a lot of robes in the Goshala. Krishna had more than 9 lakhs cows. And so they used to carry a little rope with them. All the cowherd men would have a rope. Sometimes you see in Vrindavan, Krishna and Balaram temple, they have a little rope around their shoulder. They tie the cow's back legs when they're going to go for milking. And they tie the back legs with this rope. So most of the cowboys have a little rope over their shoulder. And so Mother Jasoda collected all these ropes. There was hundreds and hundreds. And even from other villages, the people were bringing rope. But every time they tied, it was 2 fingers too short. So what does it signify? 2 fingers. It has a significance. One, bhakti and bhakti. And the mercy. Yes. By our own endeavor and by mercy. This was the meaning of the two fingers too short. So Mother Jasoda was endeavoring like anything she had. So Krishna decided to be merciful upon her and reveal. So then they exhausted all the rope, everything was finished in all the villages. And everyone was just laughing at the funny situation. Then one little girl came, Srimad Radharani. And she said, I've heard what's happening. Look, Mother Jasoda is trying to bind Krishna, she can't tie him. She's used all the rope, she cannot tie him. So Radharani, small girls, they have a black string usually in India. They tie up their hair with it. So Radharani untied her, she had a string, only piece of rope. And she gave to Jasoda, you can tie this one. So Mother Jasoda tied Radharani's rope, and then whoop, it reached. She could actually bind the Krishna's belly. So, what was it? Short purport. Yeah, talking about how Srimad Bhagavatam is the essence of the Vedas. It's not an imaginary story, as sometimes considered by unauthorized men. And it makes sense that if they're saying that the British, they try to destroy the Vedas by defeating the Vedas, so that the British would employ pundits to come and study the Vedas and give them the information of how they could prove that this is just fiction or something. But then they tried for years they were trying, but they could not. They could not defeat the Brahmanas in their logic or anything like that, in their discussion. So that was their plan, we'll destroy the Vedas, and then that's their support. This is the British idea. It's a demoniac mentality. This is the mentality of the demons, like Ravana and Kamsa. They wanted to do that. Let's stop all the sacrifices, destroy all stop the Brahmanas performing, and then we'll be able to kill Vishnu like this. So it is a demoniac mentality. So, and anyway, if you wanted to make a story up, if you just say, oh, they're just fictional stories, you wouldn't go as far as the Vedas go. And some of these are completely extraordinary stories that it seems impossible to believe. If they did it they made these stories up to convince others, why would they choose such they could make a lot easier conviction. They could make a lot more simpler convictions, which are really also far out. Why over-exaggerate them, which makes it really simple? So if it was just a story, you wouldn't, and you wanted someone to believe it, and it's only a make-up story, you tried to be like, at least feasible. It should be something feasible, but so Krishna, he goes way over their heads, way over there. You want to imagine something, Krishna, you can't even imagine how Krishna exhibits these wonderful pastimes. So it would make him difficult to present their philosophy as being a real, and if it was made up, it'd be difficult with all these far-out explanations. So, but they are there, they're presented as it is, and the Brahmanas were preaching as it is, and therefore the British could never defeat. In fact, I think Lord Mountbatten, between the British area, Lord Mountbatten, when he instructed he was a governor here for some time, I believe. But the British had their governors, etc. And Lord Mountbatten, he would say, in India, you can do what you like, but you don't play around with their religion. Don't play around with their religion, because he knew that was their binding force. So, so 5,000 years ago it was truth, today it's the truth, we're still chanting these. So, we're still chanting about this. It says here, these Vedic hymns were again spoken by Sukadeva Goswami, the great liberated sage. So the great liberated sage means those who have entered into an eternal relationship with Krishna. They can present the Srimad Bhagavatam. And keep it protected. Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Nitai Go Premanandi. Hare Hare. Thank you. Question? Okay. There, Mike.
While planting Krishna, Mother Yashoda actually took some ribbon from the hair of Radha. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, thank you so much for wonderful class. Prabhu, as you mentioned about that to bind Krishna, as Mother Yashoda was trying, and at last she got one ribbon from hair braid of Srimati Radharani, and she was able to bind Krishna. But how later on, when Nanda Baba comes and he unties Krishna, so as Srila Jiva Goswami tells that the higher rasa, the bond of, knot of higher rasa cannot be untied with lower rasa. And so how it happened that Nanda Baba actually could untie Krishna?
I can't quite catch the question. There's a lot of echo here, isn't there? There's too much echo. Could you say it a bit shorter?
Prabhu, as we know, Srila Jiva Goswami has told in Gopal Champu, so far, I remember, that the lower rasa cannot untie the knot of higher rasa. So when,
Pardon?
His main point, can I repeat? His main point is the last part of the rope is made by Radharani's ribbon. So Radharani is in the Madhurya ras. That is higher ras than Vatsalya ras. Then, according to Jiva Goswami's opinion, later on Nanda Baba untied the rope for Krishna. But Nanda Baba is situated in Vatsalya ras. So he's like in the lower ras. Then how he can untie when Madhurya ras is tied? That is his doubt.
Well, you're going to have to ask someone who's in there, who's understood their rasa with Krishna. But anyway, when Radharani is with her parents, she's exhibiting the Vatsala rasa. And when she's with Krishna and her friends, then she's exhibiting the conjugal relationship. So it appears very much like the whole Damodara Stakam. It's Vatsala ras. It's 100% Vatsala ras. It appears like that. So I think Sanatana Goswami says that the sage Satyavrata Muni, who compiled that Astakam, he spoke it as if it's in Vatsala, but at the end, the last chapter, the last verse, to protect the conjugal relationship, the Madhurya rasa, protect. That's maybe the word to use. But he let it, Satyavrata Muni let it know that this is actually a conjugal, but he just mentioned it, Shri Radhika Tadiya Priyaya. Like in one line he just mentioned it, at the end of all the others, it was like concealed a little bit, but he let it be known that Radharani was there, and she actually bound, her bhakti bound Krishna, but he's worded it in such a way that it's Vatsala. Hare Krishna.
Last week, last Panchachankari Prabhu did mention that in a pastime or lila, you will have so many rasas taking part to make it complete.
I didn't catch it.
He said in the class that it is not always one particular rasa there taking part. He did mention that in one lila or some, we have so many rasas taking part in it.
It could have been happening in a different yuga, a different place. Is that what you said? The question? His pastimes are eternally going on. So it could be going on in a different universe. Is that what you said? Or a different place?
But he did mention he says sometime in a lila, in particular lila, it is not particularly one rasa, purely one rasa. It is a mixture of everything, and it makes it that pastime complete.
Yeah, that is the nature of bhakti. It's not just one thing. It's we call the nectar of devotion, bhakti rasa. The notion is like this. So Krishna is constantly in this madhurya, vatsala, shakya, vatsala. This is nectar of devotion. It's the notion. Mayavadi, or those who want to understand Brahman, the Brahmavadis, they just want, it's all the same, it's all one so-called bliss, but for bhakti it's expanding bliss, going deeper into it, and it's constantly churning the bliss much more than just the oneness of Brahman, just experiencing the oneness of Brahman. Is that okay?
Jai Hare Krishna. Just to add to this, like Krishna allows Mother Yasoda to tithe, even though the last part was Radharani's here. If Mother Yasoda was able to tithe, of course, if Krishna wants, Nanda Maharaj can untithe. I just would like to add that.
I'm sorry. It was a comment or a question? I couldn't comment.
Well, this is a basic question. I've heard it's not offensive to steal prasadam. Is this true?
No, I can't hear.
Oh, you want me to ask again? You didn't hear me, or?
No, I couldn't make it out.
Okay.
I'm deaf anyway, but the echo is even worse.
I was told that it is not an offense to steal prasadam. Is this true?
To steal prasadam.
Yes.
When the devotees first went to Vrindavan, Prabhupada's American disciples, and then they were suddenly there in Vrindavan, in Loya Bazaar, the whole scene, Indian scene, and they were going through Pai on a rickshaw, and where all these selling sweets and things like that, they would grab them and it's Krishna Prasadam, steal it. And even Vishramba Goswami from the Radharaman temple, he personally told Prabhupada, he said, you have brought some young lions here. They're like lions, they're going through Loya Bazaar and it's just taking anything they want and saying it's Krishna Prasadam. Prabhupada said, no, you shouldn't do that, he said. If you want to buy some sweet, they'll give you a sample, you can taste it, but don't. So, the conclusion is that as a child, Krishna stole sweets and prasadam. When he grew old, he became very responsible. He became a king and a soldier and maintained. So as a child, you can steal. As a Kshatriya, a responsible person, you won't steal. You'll look after the welfare of your citizen. Hare Krishna.
Hey Krishna.
What? When it was here in ISKCON. I don't know if there's a recording of Prabhupada chanting. Maybe someone's knows. During Prabhupada's time, we were chanting the Ashtakam. I remember it must have been 1980, early 1980, because it said that it should be chanted in the morning and in the evening. So they introduced it, Bharadwaj Prabhu. It's a very nice kirtan, yeah, Vaishnav. Bharadwaj. He sung it from Mangalarti. Because it says you can twice a day you can offer. But then he started it and he sung it during Mangalarti. After that, I think we didn't offer it in the morning. But that was in the early 1980s. That was such a time frame. I think then the Chutananda Maharaj had just finished his songbook, his ISKCON songbook. She wants to know the date we started. Yeah, so it's in the early 1980s. Hmm? He didn't? As far as I know, he didn't. He was introduced in the songbook. I don't know, you have to ask someone. Yeah. Anything else? Huh? Okay. Sri Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Go Premanandi.